Hello, all you sci-fi lovers. My name is Trent. You are listening to Never Seen It. I'm sitting here with my wife, Betsy.
The future! We're going to the future!
All the way to 2049 because we are ending Sci-Fi Sunday with a new classic. Betsy, we're watching Blade Runner 2049.
Another sequel.
Yeah.
It's Sci-Fi Sequel Sunday once again.
I am so excited for this one because last year, if you did not listen to that episode, I watched Blade Runner, the original, for the very first time, and I fucking loved it. So I'm very excited for this one. This is kind of the reason why we're doing Sci-Fi Sunday this month, so close to when we watched Blade Runner, because I could not get out of that world. So Betsy, neither of us have seen Blade Runner 2049 yet. What do you know about the movie?
Okay, so we were doing the math before we started recording.
Yes, we were looking at some calendars here, doing the number crunching, trying to see, okay, Blade Runner in 1982 took place in 2019. Okay, the far-flung future of 2019.
And then Blade Runner 2049 came out in 2017.
35 years after the original.
But takes place 30 years in the future.
Takes place 30 years in the future. Is this a weird, like, black hole thing where
It's so
time
confusing.
is weird?
Well, and of course, the fact that we're quickly approaching the place where, luckily, we're not there yet, where we'll be closer to 2049 than 2017.
Oh, don't even talk like that.
Luckily, we're still a lot closer to 2017.
Betsy just turned 40, and the idea of aging is very much on our minds.
I'll only be in like my 70s or whatever when this rolls around.
No, I don't want to think about that, Betsy. Anyway, tell me about the movie.
Blade Runner 2049. This was the long awaited sequel to Blade Runner that had been, I assume, in development hell, or they just decided, what if we do a Blade Runner sequel? I'm not really sure.
And of course, this is going to be directed by a different person than who directed the original one. Of course, the original one was Ridley Scott. We covered it because we did a Ridley Scott-a-thon.
And it's not like he couldn't have done the directing on this movie. He made a movie just last year.
Made a movie. Okay. He put his name on it anyway.
The point is, the man's still working. However, he handed the reins over to Denis Villeneuve, who we love.
Absolutely.
I think we're batting 1,000 with his movies.
At least his recent ones, yes.
Yes, all of the ones that I can think of off the top of my head, we have enjoyed.
Yeah, all of the ones that are known to the majority of people anyway.
I also know that Harrison Ford is back, which I asked the question at the end of Blade Runner because there's, of course, a 40-year question of, is this character a replicant? And of course, they don't age. They don't have all of the other features that regular humans have.
There were a lot of questions at the end of Blade Runner.
Yes, and it's left intentionally vague. It is up to you, the viewer, to decide what you think happened. Now, by having him in the sequel, and he is clearly an old man, I will be curious how they address that if they just come out and say, oh, hell no, I'm not a replicant.
Why would you even ask that question?
But he is not the main focus of the movie because the main character is Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, I understand that he is another Blade Runner.
Whatever that means in 2049.
Right.
Why do we still have them? Why do we still need them? Is it the same thing as it was in 2019? Or has the job somehow changed? The only other person I know for sure who is in this is Ana de Armas.
Yeah.
Who I definitely did not know when this movie came out. I only found that out later.
You didn't know who she was, or you didn't know that she was in the movie?
Yes. Because I didn't know who she was until Knives Out. So whatever year that came out was when I started to be like, oh, okay, I know who this actress is. I didn't go like backwards or what else was going on in her career around that time.
There was another person that is in the movie that you didn't realize was in this movie. Jared Leto is also here, and you didn't know that until I pointed him out on the fucking poster of the movie.
I probably knew that when the film came out, but it's been so many years already that I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know, kind of it's a weird connection because in our Tron Legacy episode, which by the way, we're going to talk about that episode very, very soon. In that episode, we took a quick break and went and watched that trailer in the course of recording that episode. And Jared Leto is apparently in that movie. He's just in all the sci-fi now.
Or at least all of the legacy sequels that we're going to be putting out. Who knows?
Yeah.
So that's what I know as far as who is in it. I really don't know anything about the plot. And if you go back and listen to our Blade Runner episode, something you might not know about me is that time we watched it was only the second time I'd ever seen Blade Runner.
And you were not a huge Blade Runner person the first time you watched it either.
No. So I'm very curious how I'm going to feel about this one. If I'm going to like it more because it's a different director, or it's more modernized, or if I'm going to feel the same way.
Or maybe the sci-fi is going to be more founded in this movie. You're allowed to do a lot more with the CG, which I understand. The movie is a goddamn visual masterpiece.
Yes, this I have heard.
So I'm very excited to finally watch this movie in 4K. Wow. And before we go and actually watch the episode, elephant in the room for us at Never Seen It. Betsy's the person who runs our social media accounts, and every so often she'll put up, clips and reels on Instagram, stuff on Twitter and Blue Sky and wherever else. She put up a reel on Instagram a couple of days after the Tron Legacy episode dropped, and that reel kind of blew up, and it's been an incredible response, and we would like to thank everybody and welcome everybody who has found us through that reel and say, hey, welcome to Never Seen It.
Yeah, if you are listening to this episode because of the Tron Legacy episode, first of all, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for checking us out. And if you're back for this episode, thanks for sticking around.
So with that, we're going to go and watch Blade Runner 2049, and we will be right back. And we have returned from the year 2049 all the way to the year 2049. Betsy, what did you think of that Blade Runner sequel?
So if you listened to our Blade Runner episode, you know that my overall feeling about the movie is it looks cool, but I kind of don't see the point of Blade Runner. That's my short summation of that film and my feelings about it.
Yeah, you didn't hate it, but you can appreciate it from afar.
I admire what it is, but it's not a movie for me. So when I'm going into Blade Runner 2049, I have that sitting on my shoulders kind of going, okay, is it going to be Ridley Scott type Blade Runner, or is it going to be Denis Villeneuve? And I'm happy to report that the streak remains unbroken because I quite enjoyed this Blade Runner movie because it's a good Denis Villeneuve movie.
It really is. He kind of took this movie, took this property and made it his own. He kept a lot of the aesthetic of the original and just put a nice sheen over the top of it.
Yes, there's definitely vibes from the first one, but the story is much less complicated. Like at the beginning, I was like, okay, is this going to be a lot of like Dune where I have to watch it several times to understand who everybody is and what their motivations are?
And you have to sit on the edge of your seat and really train your eye and train your ear really to understand all the names and the history, and you have to get thousands of years of history in the course of a 2.5-hour movie.
But this is instead, we're going to give you the cliff notes on the opening scroll text. Here it is. It's the future, still, more future. A couple of things have happened. There was a blackout. There's a new guy in charge. We've all changed our feelings about the replicants, sort of. And the Blade Runners still exist. So very, very short version of what's going on here in the future. So instead of the Tyrell Corporation, it's the Wallace Corporation. And they basically bought all their intellectual property. And everyone has decided, oh, well, the replicants don't need to have a 4-year lifespan. We don't need to do that anymore. They can be limitless.
Yeah, all of the other ones are died out. That corporation went out of business. And the reason for that is, well, there was a calamity that happened 30 years ago that caused a whole bunch of data to just disappear.
We reset the entire grid. All of that data from before, it's fucking gone. Bank records, histories,
and
it's all gone.
There was a possible famine that happened, so they kind of repurposed all of the existing replicants to create, I guess, inorganic food. I don't really know how you say it.
Instead of being militarized, they're farmers now.
Basically, yeah. I mean, most robots, even today, are created to help people, and they're just repurposed for those purposes. So yeah, we're kind of plopped right back into watching a Blade Runner, in this case, played by Ryan Gosling. We are hit immediately with this wall of text, like you said. We're following him. He's flying through the air over these, I don't even know what to call these, like these circular, I think it kind of looked like solar panel fields or some kind of harvesting apparatus. I don't really know what the hell that is. But you're, again, just reintroduced to how fucking cool everything looks in the world of Blade Runner.
And having spent time with Denis Villeneuve in other sci-fi, I was like, well, I know it's going to look great because he did not disappoint in Dune. He did not disappoint in Arrival. This is just going to be amongst them. I also knew this had received many, many Academy Award nominations for the look and the sound of this film.
And I'll be honest, I don't want to show my hand here, but I'm going to say this movie is on a very short list of mine for our own end of year awards for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 different categories.
So what you're going to say is exactly the same quote from Blade Runner. This movie looks fucking cool.
It does. I mean, looking at it now in 2025, a movie that came out close to 10 years ago, it's weird to even say that. There isn't a flaw anywhere that I can see. This might be one of the best movies I have seen just from a visual standpoint and just visual storytelling and enveloping a world with just stuff and life, but also it's desolate.
And they didn't overwhelm us with details. Like, we're not playing the, oh, remember that first movie all the time. We didn't do it all the time. Like, it was just little things. We brought Edward James Olmos back. We brought Harrison Ford back. He's not in the fucking movie for 2 full hours.
Yeah.
He literally does not show up until the last act of the film.
And he's barely even a factor in the movie.
Yes, he is not the main focus. He is a piece of the puzzle, but he is not the main piece of the puzzle. And they could have gone and taken this story a lot of easy ways. Like, there were moments I thought this movie was kind of getting predictable. I was like, oh, okay, so this is happening.
Yeah,
okay, so this is happening.
Exactly. You think that you are figuring it out before you're supposed to. Oh, yeah, clearly Ryan Gosling was the child because they're just proving it right in front of our faces. Because, of course, he is.
But because these are really good storytellers, they say, haha, we doubled you out. We faked you out. We pull the rug out, and then right at the end we go, oh, none of those things that we were showing you were real. It was all to make you look in this direction because it's all misleading you.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about, they could have absolutely thrown in all sorts of different references and callbacks to the original movie. Like, the ones that I could really pull out of here is the one guy calling Ryan Gosling a skin job. They don't do that much of it, but they also have a whole lot of product placement in this movie. Not nearly as much as what they did in the first movie, but again, the brands still exist in this world. Like, Sony is one of them. Well, Sony also was the studio who made this movie, so hey.
Well, who knew Atari would still be around in 2049?
Yeah, Atari's still kicking.
And Coca-Cola, good old reliable Coca-Cola.
Mellow Yellow had a logo in there somewhere. I need to go back and just freeze frame on that wall of logos to point out all of the rest of them. But we were kind of time constrained here, so we didn't have a chance to really go back and revisit some of these scenes. But as long as we're here, the ones that I wrote down anyway, the other brand names, of course, Coca-Cola was in there. Pan Am, apparently still a thing, never went away. Johnny Walker is all over this fucking thing.
Yes.
And the car brand Peugeot, which I think is a French car brand. They make luxury cars, I think. And I think all of the vehicles that they drive are that brand.
I mean, it is Denis Villeneuve.
You got it.
I would think he might have some French connections that he could bring into this movie. All this to say, it's not taking a ton from the original film.
Yeah. It doesn't use it as a crutch. You coming in here, you are assumed that you know everything from Blade Runner. And honestly, that maybe is a detriment to the movie, to enjoying the movie if you've never seen the original Blade Runner.
Well, right. When this came out, I had, before Blade Runner 2049, seen Blade Runner, but I didn't go to see this. I wasn't interested because of my aforementioned feelings.
Sure.
But you, if you didn't see Blade Runner, you might look at this movie in the trailer and say, that looks really cool, but you're gonna be missing some of the information if you haven't watched it.
The things that you're gonna miss are everything having to do with the replicants and how they are created, how they are implanted with memories. Honestly, that is the crux upon which this entire movie is turning. Because that's the fake out when it comes to the Ryan Gosling character here, Kay. Because he was implanted with this other memory, we are completely faked out in the middle of it thinking, oh yeah, he's the child. But because he is just another replicant, he's just like every other replicant with these memories implanted in, and the ones that really stick out to him were the ones that actually happened to someone.
They were lived memories that were implanted versus everything else, which is all just made up.
Exactly.
They have kind of variations on a theme for the memories that are implanted for these replicants.
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. If you don't know that piece about the replicants, it's going to maybe partially at least affect how you feel about this movie if you haven't seen Blade Runner. But they're doing this really delicate balance where they know Blade Runner is a beloved property.
Yeah.
And we cannot go in here swinging, telling people, we're going to reinvent your franchise. We're going to take everything you know and turn it on its head.
Yeah, which is interesting that you just said swinging, because one of the quotes that Denis Villeneuve put out about this movie when he was interviewed about the movie, he said, I know that fans of Blade Runner are going to go in the theater holding fucking baseball bats, ready to just bludgeon me to death if I fuck up their good thing.
But it's that kind of respect for Blade Runner and restraint with the property that he is able to pull this off. And there isn't this 40-year mystery like there was with Blade Runner, like, is Deckard a replicant?
Sure.
They don't fuck around with that. They say, Ryan Gosling is K, and he is a replicant. Full
Absolutely.
stop.
There is no mystery about that.
We introduce the character. We tell you right away that is what he is. So that's not the mystery here. Okay, so then what is the mystery? Because like Blade Runner, this is still a noir. This is a detective story.
Yeah.
And they get to it pretty quickly, and they're giving you the little pieces. Oh, there's this guy, and he has something buried in his yard, and we find out, oh, it's Rachel from the first one, because Rachel has a limited lifespan, so Rachel somewhere along the way died. We just don't know how, we don't know when. But then it's like, oh, but she was in childbirth. She had a baby. It's like, wait a second.
Right.
How the fuck is that possible?
Yeah.
And we just keep adding little layers and piece on top of piece before I'm like, oh, okay. So the question isn't, is he a replicant? The question is, everything you know is a lie. But instead of that lie being, you're a replicant and all your memories are fake, it's, you're a replicant, but all your memories are real.
Yeah, that's really the question here, because it is doling out this information about the fact that Rachel, the replicant from the first movie that ran away with Deckard from the first movie, she apparently got pregnant, and she was special. The Tyrell Corporation that from the first movie that went out of business, this was their special prototype that they created to possibly give birth to another replicant child, I guess. There is something built inside of her that is completely unique to her. And when this blackout happened, all of the data, all of the research that allowed them to get to the point where they can create a replicant that can give birth to other replicants, all of that data was lost.
Because the humans who are making the replicants can only make so many. So this is basically the next phase in evolution. If we can create a replicant that can self-replicate,
yeah,
why would we need to be here? Like, Jared Leto is introduced as the evil corporation leader, and he very quickly says, we have expanded into the universe and we've conquered 9 worlds, but 9 can be counted on a child's fingers. Like, it's so pathetic. We need to take over the fucking universe, and we need the replicants to do it.
He wants to go from millions of replicants out there to trillions. And the only way to do that is by self-replication. It's just going back to the original intention of the word.
And they have this really disturbing scene where they have a new model that they bring in. And it's literally this woman covered in goo dropped out of a plastic bag.
Yeah, she's just birthed into the world having a hard time breathing because it's the first time she's ever breathed or seen or stood up or done anything.
And in 10 minutes, he concludes, nope, this failed. This model failed, and I do not care about this. And they do this a few times in the movie where he and Love, the other replicant with him, just very callously say, this one's not good enough. And they don't even verbalize this thought of get rid of it, but he just does it. They act.
Yeah. He's got these little magic rocks that kind of float around in the room, and they've got little sensors and cameras looking deep inside of this new model replicant. And this is where he reveals his evil master plan. And like you said, he decides, no, you're a failure. You're going to go away now.
We need to find this child. The long and short of it is we need that proprietary data. And the only way to get it is from the source. We don't have the files. We don't have the records. We don't know how Tyrell did it. So the only way to do it, because the bones didn't show us, is to get the genetic material. But as you can see, from my ability to articulate the plot of this film, I found it way less confusing than Blade Runner. Like, they found a way to put all the little things they had set up in the original film, and I can follow this thread. We're continuing the story. Like, what would be the next phase of Blade Runner? In the 1982 movie, they tell us that she is special, but why is she special? In this movie, they expand on the idea and they say, remember when we told you she was special? This is why.
Because I think they imply in the first movie that maybe she doesn't have the limited lifespan. Maybe she can just exist for as long as a normal human can exist.
And that part they've clearly figured out because they say the Wallace Corporation has brought back these replicants and they don't have a time span. They don't have a 4-year expiration date on them.
Yeah. So kind of at the beginning of the movie here, they're, again, rebuilding the world from what it was in 82, where Blade Runners can now be replicants themselves, and they hunt other replicants who are they still the rebels from way back in the day? Is it still that same batch that they're going after? It can't be, because those people were going to be dead in 4 years anyway.
That's what I was trying to figure out. I think there are still some very old models out there, but they're not that generation that had a 4-year expiration date.
And they're not from that rebel group on the off-world planet.
No, because if you remember in Blade Runner, they said they existed prior to that, but then they were causing problems.
These were other kinds of special ones, yeah.
They were causing problems, so then the next batch in every class moving forward had this little flaw built in so that they could be controlled. But anything prior to that would probably still be, they'll just live forever.
Right, and I think it's very much shown to us here with the Robin Wright character, who's the boss of all of, maybe she's just the boss of all of the replicant cops out there, the replicant Blade Runners, if you will.
She's the queen of the Blade Runners.
I don't know, but
she's in charge of him, clearly.
When it comes to her, she is constantly testing him, asking, oh, are you going to say no to me? I'm telling you this is an order. And if he hesitates at all, I think that's where she's going to pull the plug, because she's paranoid that the replicants that she has on the payroll are going to change and evolve and rebel.
I think she's worried about that just full stop, because when she figures out what's going on here, okay, this replicant had a baby and you are going to forget what you saw. You didn't see that. Yeah. That isn't real. You're not going to tell anybody about this. You're going to destroy all the evidence, because if word gets out that the replicants can evolve in this way, it might spell the end for the human race. So she's got that in the back of her head at all times, which she displays a few times throughout the movie, like when Love shows up and says, what did he do? And she gleefully tells her, oh, he found the child and he destroyed it. I told him to do it and he did it. And what the fuck are you going to do about it? Because I'm a human and the humans reign supreme, as it were.
Yeah, and like when you go back to the scene of him on the farm when he meets Batista.
Again, didn't know he was in this.
Nope. They talk about the fact that Batista was like a medical person in the military, which is why he's got a scalpel, and which is why when we talk about her giving birth to the baby, there are cut marks on her bones indicating that there was an emergency C-section done. And he's talking about, I witnessed a miracle, because he himself being a replicant, he's never seen anything like that. Nobody had seen anything like that. Again, it is presumed here that Deckard and Rachel escaped together, she got pregnant, and then it was decided because this was such a special thing, they all went their separate ways. Which is why Deckard is in fucking Las Vegas, and why Rachel is on this farm being taken care of by this other group that they don't really talk about all that much until the very, very end.
They're an underground rebellion that is building.
Yeah, and they said that they're building an army here to try to, I guess they want to rise up and be able to have their own society outside of the humans and be able to just replicate themselves naturally, but not for Wallace, not for the Wallace Corporation, because he wants to take over everything. These other people just want to live.
They want their freedom.
Yeah, they just want to be free.
Because they're still slaves. Even though their roles have changed a little bit since the last generation,
yeah.
Wallace came back and he's like even more evil corporation guy than Tyrell was. Tyrell, I think, was more interested in, look what I can do with science.
Sure.
Wallace seems more intent on like domination and a new world order of replicants as opposed to humans.
Yeah, and I don't even know what his story is. Because clearly he's got a whole bunch of, I guess, implants or upgrades, or he's clearly not human all the way.
He's kind of cybernetic, where he's got a little bit of both going on.
Where, like, those fucking eyes, it seemed like to me he wasn't actually looking at you with his eyes. It's as if he was blind, but he sees everything. I don't know. It was a weird sensation just to look at the guy.
The way I kind of felt about it was that the inclusion of his character and the introduction of the people that are rebelling, that's the kind of stuff you put in to, yes, add to the world, but two, to put pieces in place for a sequel.
I think you're right, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
You want to bet? Blade Runner 2079 is in the works right now, Trent.
That's
We're
right.
jumping another 30 years into the future, but I don't know anything about that sequel.
Yeah, now that you say that, I do remember somebody saying something about that. But I don't think it's going to be him. I think it's going to be, hey, it's the continuation of the replicants trying to have their own society outside of humans and basically look at this world. Look at what the humans have done to this world, and They don't really talk about it here, but it's just kind of on the surface. Look how shitty everything looks. Look at Las Vegas and the fact that it is an irradiated wasteland. And going back to what LA looked like in the original Blade Runner and what it looks like now, and just outside of the technology of them representing it, in the opening scene where they're just flying over everything, and in subsequent scenes later, they're flying over the city, and it is packed to the gills. It is built up as much as you can.
And it's expansive. It never fucking ends.
And they call it Greater Los Angeles. And yeah, that city goes forever, at least until you get to the outskirts of LA, which just turns into San Diego. San Diego is just a dumping ground.
It's a dump. No, literally, they've turned it into a dump.
I wonder how the actual people of San Diego took that. I don't really think that they appreciated that all that much, I'm sure. But I guess in tribute of the good people of San Diego, let's just take a break here. We're going to come back and talk more about Blade Runner 2049. We will be right back. You know, recently I've been bored and feeling out of sorts. My normal podcasts just weren't cutting it anymore, so I talked to my doctor, and she recommended patreon.com/neverseenitpod, and now I feel better than ever.
Patreon.com/neverseenitpod is a once-weekly subscription podcast used to create joy. Side effects may include a sense of euphoria, aching muscles from smiling, and a dependence on the host's addictive personalities. Do not take this podcast if you are allergic to fun, have a history of laughing until you pee, or are afraid of a good time.
Talk to your doctor about patreon.com/neverseenitpod today. So besides the obvious sci-fi aesthetic, I think 2049 does its best job at emulating the first movie in not just how you're looking at things, but how long you are looking at things. Because one of the things that I remember saying in that first episode when we cover the first movie is how long he is lingering on all these shots, all these landscapes, all these characters, all these rooms. It's one of the reasons why the movie is almost 3 hours long.
Well, you were reading that they had like 4 hours of footage, which is funny because you just re-listened to that episode where you said, I could live in this world for another 4 hours.
Honestly, I could have.
And Denis Villeneuve had the task at hand, do I make it 2 movies or do I do one version? Because Blade Runner famously just kept getting re-edited. There are 3 versions of that movie, and he really wanted to avoid that. He said, I want the definitive cut right now. And so he whittled it to 2:45, basically.
Yeah, he was in a conversation with the studio saying, okay, I have a cut that is 4 hours long that is cut up between 2 different movies. 2 movies that would be released at 2 different times, much like what they're doing with the Wicked movies now. 2 movies that are like 4 hours, 5 hours long total, but they're released a year apart. So he was talking with the studio saying, I want to avoid what Ridley Scott had to avoid in the studio version being the theatrical cut. Then there's a director's cut. Then there's a final cut. Once Villeneuve put this out, this was going to be the definitive version. And instead of doing 2 movies, they put this movie out and he's never going to touch it again. So anyway, going back to what I was saying before about how, again, you're just lingering on all these characters and all these different scenes here. And I think the most impressive ones are just when Ryan Gosling is just standing. The camera is just focused on him. He's looking at something or something is looking at him and he's just existing in this world. And I think that just lends to his acting ability as an android, as a replicant.
Because he's not really supposed to be feeling things throughout most of the movie.
Totally. He has no emotions.
And as he's learning more and more and starting to get very concerned and questioning his own existence, that's when the emotions start coming out.
Yes.
But that very still acting he's doing for most of the first part of the movie is countered by the end where he gets very big very quickly.
And that's only happening once in the movie, I think. You even said while we were watching it, when he's getting shot down, when he's hovering over where he's going to find the orphanage, you said, well, he's very calm about being shot down and crashing.
The power is literally out in his flying vehicle and he is going to crash. And he just kind of looks around and starts pushing buttons and lands.
Yeah, he's bracing for impact. He is preparing the system for whatever. He's trying to brace his fall, I guess. But yeah, he's completely calm.
But then at the end of the movie, where he is at a place where he believes himself to be this child that he was sent out to find.
Yep.
He meets Deckard, and he could just say, it's me. I think it's me. But he never does. He's just asking the questions.
He's just asking the questions about, did you want to meet your child? Did you abandon them? Did all of these different things?
What was the mother like?
Yeah. What he stops at saying, what was my mom's name?
He doesn't say that. What was her name?
Yeah. And at this point, do you think that Harrison Ford here had any inkling of what was going through his mind? Or does he just believe in his mind that he's a Blade Runner and he's here just to ask questions?
I think it's the latter. I don't think he ever believed he would meet his own child. So why, in what world would they be able to find him? Like, they don't know themselves who their parent is.
Right, because he left right away. He didn't even see the birth of his child.
Yeah, he doesn't know who his child is. The child doesn't know they are his. How could they possibly find him?
Yeah, and there's a reference here to when the kid was born, they changed some records in the system.
He helped them falsify records and send people on wild goose chases, basically.
Yeah, and at that moment when they're asking the questions here, they don't say son or daughter, right? Boy or girl?
No, they have 2 records. He believes it's twins because if you actually take the time to comb through all of the birth records, you can see 2 individuals with matching DNA. And he says, oh, it was a boy and a girl. He comes to his own conclusion.
Or they changed it the other way. it was a boy, but then they changed the record to a girl or vice versa. Whatever it was, I don't remember.
I think it's all bullshit is what it is they have 2 records for one person.
Yeah, and then
there's no record of twins.
Yeah, they get confused because there's matching records here, and only somebody looking for it would actually find it, I guess.
And they clearly have all of this data like flagged anytime somebody's going to look for it, which is why the woman at the Wallace Corporation immediately shows up and she's like, oh, you're digging into this.
Right.
I'm here. What do you need? Let me help you because I need you to go out and do my dirty work.
Oh, you're trying to find this? Let me help you with this. And the next time we find her help is right after he does crash, and she's calling in a fucking airstrike to try to kill all these people trying to, I don't know what they're going to do to him.
Probably rob him and strip the car for parts or something.
Yeah.
But she's clearly been following him. Like, why did that happen then? Because she's got eyes on him. She is paying very close attention to where this guy goes and what he does and who he talks to. Because eventually she feels good that he is going to lead her to the child that she is looking for.
Or at least information that will allow her to find the kid.
And meanwhile, the big twist at the end of the movie is they have planted this daughter. It's a daughter, not a son.
Right.
And they have planted her right under their noses because she works for the company. She literally is there, the best in the biz, designing memories for the replicants.
Yeah. And I think she's good at it because she has both sides. She had a real childhood, and she knows what it feels like to actually grow up. And what better person, what better replicant to give memories to other replicants than somebody who is a replicant and did grow up? It's fascinating. And presumably, again, she's been doing this for a very long time. And there's a lot of different replicants, even in that room with all those rebels. I imagine like that conversation that old woman with the missing eye, the conversation that she has with Ryan Gosling here is, I think, the rest of the movie here. She essentially says, everyone wants to be the child that has been born. Every one of these replicants wishes that they had been born. They wish that they had these real memories and have had an actual life.
And wish they were partially human.
Or at least that side of them were human. Like they were able to actually grow up.
Or just the fact that knowing a memory is real because they are self-aware enough to know that all of their memories have been implanted.
Yeah, even when he's being interrogated here by Robin Wright, he says to himself, well, I don't know why you want to hear about a memory that isn't even mine.
But they continue down the road where we start to believe that memory actually is his because he goes to see the person who makes the memories, and she says this memory was lived. What we don't know is she knows that because it's her memory.
And that just kind of tells you here, that's the reason why she is having such a reaction here. She's crying because she's seeing her own life played back.
And he asks the question, are you ever going to put real memories in people? And she says, we're not supposed to. She didn't say no.
Right.
Now that you think about it, she's like, oh, she never actually said no.
Right.
But if you periodically plant that specific memory in a number of replicants, it's enough to sow the seeds of doubt in their own existence.
And to sow the seeds of rebellion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want one, you need the other. The replicants need to believe that there could be something more to living because they were birthed by a woman.
Yeah, and the thing that we were kind of talking about during the watch here, because normally we don't talk that much about movies while we watch them. We try to save the conversation for here and now, but in that moment there, we kind of agreed that this is just the opposite of gaslighting, making you believe that something did happen, but it didn't.
And that's the twist that I really didn't see coming in this movie. I was fully like, oh, it's the kind of thing we do in this generation of legacy sequels. He's his son. Okay, I get it. And it becomes predictable and it becomes a little bit boring. And if that had been the resolution, I'd have been like, I mean, it's interesting, but I kind of saw it coming because you told me it was coming. And then right at the end, I was like, you bastards. You got me. You got me.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's a whole lot of stuff that we have to talk about here. I really can't get into the really heady stuff here because my brain is just still processing everything.
The wheels are going very quickly.
Absolutely. And I definitely want to watch both of these movies again because I want to know, is there anything that they kind of pulled out of the first one that they put into here, especially now that I know what the sequel is? And one of the other things that I read talking about, hey, he's giving you hints about what's going to happen and what the real situation is. When Ryan Gosling goes to the orphanage, you look at all the kids around, all the boys have either shaved heads or really, really short hair. All the girls actually have hair, whether it's long or short or whatever. They have hair. You can tell who's a boy and who's a girl. But when you go into the memory that it's playing back, the kid that we're following around here, they've got hair, which is to say that's a girl, not a boy.
There's also the entirety of the Ana de Armas character, where she is kind of an artificial intelligence that this company provides. And at the end of the movie, the last time we see a version of her character, it says, hear what you want, feel what you want. Like, I can be anything.
She is basically an artificial companion. You have her in your home, but there's this brand new upgrade that he just bought for her that he can take this AI program with him wherever he goes.
She becomes mobile.
Yeah.
But she's not real. This is also part of the clues of what's going on because she is saying to him everything he wants to hear. She is acting the way he wants her to act because she is being fed information by him and responding accordingly.
Yeah.
And she says, it's you, you're the child, because I've always told you you were special. Because he himself has always believed himself to be special.
And he's wanted to be special.
He's wanted it, and she is the reflection of that information coming back at him.
Yeah.
And that basically is only why she's there. Like, she doesn't really, I think, have a personality the way we talked about. We just watched Her recently for an upcoming episode on Patreon. Like, the question in that movie is, does Samantha really feel these things, or is she just such a hyper-intelligent AI that she thinks she feels these things? Kind of the same thing here on a smaller extent. Does she actually love this guy, or has she just been programmed to love him because he needs love?
Yeah, and you would think that the Ryan Gosling character would know if this other program was influencing him or just telling him what he wants to hear. But that's kind of the idea of the whole thing in the first place. This Joy character is being advertised as this, I don't even know what you call her. I guess I just said she was a companion, but I don't know. It's just somebody to talk to. I don't really get it.
She's a beautiful woman to pay attention to lonely men and make them feel special and important.
I guess.
But she's a program because it's the future and you can do that sort of thing.
But then you see the advertisement and it's not even her voice.
Because she can change.
Yeah.
It is customizable.
You can customize her to be however you want her to be, to like dress how you want or sound the way you want or even look the way you want in most cases. And we also get this other wrinkle here where this other woman comes into his apartment with them to have a really strange three-way.
Yeah, basically Ana de Armas got a call girl. And she said, I could tell you liked her. This is the one you saw on the street, and it's Mackenzie Davis.
Right.
And they have this scene where she basically tries to sync up with Mackenzie Davis, where all of her movements are going at the same time. So you can see both of their faces and both of their hands. And I would be really fascinated to know how they did this.
Betsy, you actually said while we were watching it, I wonder if they just shot these both at the same time. That's exactly what they did.
Like, have them stand on the mark, do the whole scene, and then
Yes.
put your hands exactly in the same places. It's very choreographed, and we'll play both over the top of each other.
That's exactly what they did.
Like, you read that?
Yes.
Ha, I did it. I figured it out. But
It's not that complicated though. You're just playing the same footage over the top of it.
But the way they edit it together looks amazing.
It really does. I mean, on its surface, it seems extremely complicated and oh my God, there must have been so much time and CG that got put into this. Not really.
It's an elegantly simple solution.
Yeah. So I know we're kind of running a little long here, and there's so many other things that I want to talk about here, but why don't you go first? What are some of the smaller bits that you want to talk about?
So this, as I mentioned, got nominated for many Academy Awards, namely in the sound and special effects and all of those things.
Visual, cinematography, all that stuff.
Roger Deakins won for cinematography, and that was a big deal because Roger Deakins is one of those guys that got nominated for 30 years and never won a fucking thing.
This is so goddamn, it's just so pretty.
It's everything. An amazing looking movie, so good on him. But also, the score is really effective. Hans Zimmer has paired up with this guy in multiple movies, and it's him and another guy who composed it kind of together. But I'm like laying on the couch and the fucking bass is like rattling the whole room.
It's booming, especially like when they get into the ships and Ryan Gosling is going after him and shooting him down. That whole thing looked amazing.
That climax of the movie
sounded great. Yeah.
It also was so unnerving at times. I was like, is it just me or is this kind of scary? Like the score was so effective that I was getting really nervous.
Yeah. And like some of the shots here, especially back at the Wallace building, all of the liquid, all the water that is just kind of being reflected around the room in so many of these rooms and so many of these shots looked incredible.
And again, a simple solution. It's just yellow lights and moving water. And you point the camera in the right place to get shadows that come and go.
It's the same thing that they did in the first movie to get the effect of the yellow eyes on people's faces. It's just a mirror.
Yeah. God, this movie looks cool.
And like all of the different doorway shots where they're looking through the doorway and it's dark, but there's light. And God, I mean, I could keep on going here. I wrote down a ton of them. I don't have time to talk about all of them.
This is what I want, Trent. I want one of those digital picture frames. And all I want it to do
just shots from this movie.
Rotate through like 100 slides from Blade Runner 2049.
I mean, I want most of them to come from the Vegas stuff because the Vegas tint on everything,
the orange light,
irradiated stuff everywhere looked incredible.
And hell yeah, hologram Elvis, let's go.
Well, not only Elvis, you also got fucking Frank Sinatra, and there was a Marilyn Monroe thing in there as well, and some dancing girls.
Liberace
is there.
That was a cool scene when they finally confront each other because it's kind of fritzing out.
Yeah.
It sort of worked, but it didn't. So there's like sound, and then there is no sound, and then there's lights, but then there are no lights, and they're moving around.
And I didn't even really get that they were in Vegas right away. It wasn't until they're already talking to each other, and they're going to the bar, and Harrison Ford here is talking, oh yeah, I found, millions of bottles worth of whiskey everywhere, and this town used to be a place to go and lose money and do whatever the fuck else. Oh, we're in Vegas. So Vegas is really bad right now, huh?
Remember how they cleaned up that city? Well, it's gone downhill again.
Yeah, nothing but bees and whiskey. I don't know if you can subsist on just bees and whiskey, Betsy.
Honey and whiskey.
And of course, when he encounters Harrison Ford for the first time, he says the phrase, "Many is the night I dream of cheese." It just kept on echoing in my brain every time.
I'm going to needle point that on a pillow.
But I guess some of my other kind of favorite scenes in this movie, this will be just kind of a reminder for myself in audio form to remember to think about this at the end of the year for all of these different moments. One of my favorite visual things in this entire movie is when the daughter, I never got her name, but when the daughter is in this holodeck thing and she's creating these memories, and she creates this memory of a child's birthday party where you have the cake and the candles and the kid and the friends all surrounding this one cake, and she's minutely changing the details here to make it look right. That right there, one of the best things.
As if you needed a reminder that we're watching a science fiction movie.
Exactly. Just creating something out of nothing. And speaking of nothing, it doesn't really snow in LA, and the fact that it is snowing quite often here is really cool.
Trent, if they dropped an atomic bomb in Las Vegas, which is what I assume happened there if it's got that much radiation, the surrounding areas would probably have altered weather patterns because of it.
Everywhere would be like that, but yes. And yeah, I mean, honestly, the other greatest moment here is the fight in the ocean. After all those ships go down and Gosling is trying to save Harrison Ford, Love is in there trying to... they said that they're going to go home. Do you think that they're trying to take him off-world to one of their other places where they can, I don't know, punish him.
It sounded like she was flying him to the airport, but the airport is probably now space travel.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that sounded like, yes. Like they have equipment out in the universe that can get from him, like, what information they want after torturing him.
Sure. Because he's really the only source of information that they have, because they got nothing else. But anyway, them fighting in the ocean here was really one of the greatest things. And I'm not good with water. I've talked about this many times, but whenever we have people on screen in peril when it comes to water, I get really uptight.
And they're just kind of slowly floating out to sea. And I'm just going, oh, he's
the
just gonna
ocean
go.
is slowly reclaiming Harrison Ford. And it's a really intense scene. I really liked it. Them fighting out there and them being robots themselves, them being replicants, they don't really feel pain. So when you have people like this fight, they don't react in the same way that other people who are fighting on screen are reacting. So again, it's a very unique thing to this universe. But with that, I think that's where we're going to have to leave Blade Runner 2049. I really like this movie. It's going to be a really, really hard thing for me to not rewatch this one kind of immediately.
You're going to have to resist.
Telling myself for the future me, hey, think about this for our awards at the end of the year, because good Lord, I love this movie. But anyway, if you would like to tell us how much you enjoyed Blade Runner 2049 or the first one, go back and listen to that episode. We did it last fall, not too long ago. You can email us neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We got a couple of emails from our superfan Stephanie covering the first 2 sci-fi movies we covered for this series, starting with Contact. She says, so I have only ever seen this once, but really remember liking it. I think from your episode, it may need a rewatch. I think we watched this at home, but I was definitely a child, so probably around 11. Jodie Foster is phenomenal. I find the premise really interesting, and I really like that they involved Carl Sagan. If your listeners are looking for more excellent examples of women in science for their kids to look up to, I highly recommend Emily's Wonder Lab on Netflix. It is a fun show where the host does science experiments for and with a group of kids. She is awesome and fun. She also has a great Instagram and YouTube presence if you're looking for some at-home science stuff to do with your kids. She also went on a Blue Origin mission and became the 100th woman in space. Anywho, we have not watched anything new recently. Love you guys from Superfan Stephanie. Yeah, we talked a lot about in that movie where girls who maybe watched Contact get inspired by watching somebody like Jodie Foster really do the hard science and be a leader in that field. And you talked about Gillian Anderson in the X-Files and how much people looked up to her. So I think these couple of things that were happening in the 90s were really important. The other email she sent was about Tron Legacy, saying, I really like this movie. We have seen it several times and find it very entertaining. Not every movie needs to be super deep. A shallow plot can be exactly what you need sometimes. It is a fun movie with decent acting and a great premise. We have also been watching the X-Men movies with our daughter. Some of it is a little over her head, and we had to explain the Holocaust to a 5-year-old.
Oh, God.
But she's been loving the movies. Love you guys from Superfan Stephanie. Yeah, X-Men movies can be a little heady when you get into the way backgrounds of some of them.
Especially because they date back to the 1960s. So trying to explain a lot of points of history to a small child so that they understand X-Men and the metaphor behind it.
Well, that's if you don't go back all the way to X-Men Origins Wolverine, where he's in the fucking Civil War.
This is true. That also predates it. Do you want to explain the Civil War to a 5-year-old?
Sure.
But yeah, if you go back and listen to our Tron Legacy episode, that was our big takeaway is it's a big CG fest, but it's a fun big CG fest. And sometimes that's all you want.
It is a feast for the eyes and the ears especially.
And yes, to bring it around again to the thing we mentioned in the intro, we had a clip I posted from the show specifically talking about the score. So Daft Punk was involved in that movie, and we were blown away. Another movie similar to Tron Legacy where we were just like, yes, the score to this movie.
Totally.
And we had lots and lots of comments. So I did want to take a minute here to give credit where credit is due because there was a valid point made. It was not solely the results of the work of Daft Punk. There was another guy involved, Joseph Trapanese. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but he did the actual orchestration of what they wrote. So it was another person involved who made that score what it is. And I was like, I want to take a minute to acknowledge
Sure. And
you have a valid point there.
And I remember talking about, hey, the orchestral stuff that we're talking about here that isn't what is clearly a Daft Punk soundtrack, that stuff really reminded me of the Hans Zimmer stuff back when he was doing the Batman movies for Nolan. So again, very impressive stuff alongside the Daft Punk.
So yes, thank you for everybody who said that. If you are new to listening to this show, our whole thing is we're watching these movies and we're talking about these things because we don't know. We are trying to educate ourselves.
Yeah, if you are brand new, this is a reaction podcast. We watch the movie, we come back over here and immediately react to what we watched. The only thing that we might do is read some of the IMDb trivia about the background of the movie, the making of the movie, extra little facts and figures here and there.
Oh, but like for 2049, you would have been there for an hour reading all of the behind the scenes.
I was scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. There's so much about this movie in the trivia.
So when we say we glance at it, that's basically what the time is allowing. We take at the most like about 10 to 15 minutes, I'd say, between watching the movie and recording.
Pretty much.
So we're going to miss things once in a while. And we love to hear from people who have been fans of these properties because that is the fun of watching movies. It is the community of people and getting involved in talking about movies.
That's what we do. If you would like to point out all the things that we got wrong, you can email us at neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We also take compliments. We also take, donations. You can go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod to get even more content from us, even though, if you can believe it, Betsy, next week will be our 350th movie we are covering for Never Seen It.
I was not doing the math on that, so I'm amazed that's already here.
It's true. But if you want even more than the 350 movies, oh my God, it's weird to even say that. If you want even more than that, go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, sign up for $5 a month. We've got 16 months, almost total 16 months worth of content over there. We put out one extra episode every single week. Even when there are 5 Wednesdays in the month, like there is in April, we put out a bonus episode, and Betsy mentioned it before, we're covering the movie Her for a brand new thing that we are doing called Once More with Feeling, where we are watching a movie that we've only ever seen one time and have never been able to bring ourselves to watch it again.
We also just talked about The Matrix on another one of our shows. So if you're here for the sci-fi, we have got you covered over there in the month of April.
Definitely. But Betsy, April is over as of this Sunday. Next Sunday is a brand new month. What are we going to be starting up in May?
We are doing a variation on a theme that we did last May. So last May was Big Movie May. 4 movies that were very, very large by the descriptor of Big Movie May.
Yeah, we did fucking Braveheart and
The French Connection, Raging Bull, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this year we are bringing back Big Movie May, but we are going to do a decade-specific iteration. So we are doing Big Movie May 1970s edition. We have touched on this so very many times. We do not spend a lot of time in the 1970s. It is a big blind spot for you and I as movie viewers. So next week, we are going to be covering a movie that may shock people that one of us has not watched. We're going back to the well of Martin Scorsese because we will be watching Taxi Driver.
I have never seen Taxi Driver, so that will be what we cover for our 350th episode. I can't wait to do that, but you guys will have to wait one more week for the beginning of Big Movie May 1970s edition. But until then, my name is Trent.
My name is Betsy.
We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.